What's going on, guys? So, the big talk of the town is the Moody's downgrade of the United States credit rating from AAA to AA1. Yeah. So, this happened obviously after hours, which is normally when the big stuff always happens. Um, yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be the talk of the weekend. I'm going to tell you my thoughts about it. Before I get into that, if you want to see me trade live, we stream here on YouTube every single day, 10:30 to noon and 2 p.m. to 4:30. If you got questions or anything on other times, click in the description of this video. There's a link to our free Discord. But yeah, let's just jump into it, and I'll tell you my thoughts. Uh, Basically, this has been in the works since November 2023 when Moody's placed the US on negative outlook. And today or yesterday, they finally downgraded. So it's been in the works. It hasn't been, it's not out of the blue. Um, I've seen a quote that says if the US isn't AAA, what is? So obviously that's definitely a feeling. If the US is not the highest level, then really what is? So I don't know if obviously there's going to be a negative effect right out of the gate. Um, we might make back the entire ground on Monday's open. That's something I'm going to be looking at. I looked at weekend Wall Street and it says we're down to 21,100. On a chart level, that signifies a definitely a trend change without a doubt. We're below this candle now and this candle, so it wiped out the last 3 days of gains, and it kind of looks like we're going to be trending back down. In this area right here, maybe come low 20,000s. I've been talking about something's coming. It just felt like they were pushing it up to unload into retail. And sure enough, we got the surprise at the end of the market. We've been talking about it on the live stream, who's buying up here and whatnot. And it just kind of felt like a pullback was needed. This is definitely the thing that can create a pullback. Depending on what narrative they run with, are they going to run with, if the U.S. is in AAA, then what is? Then they'll probably shrug it off. If it really comes into play and things do change, yeah, I mean you're going to see a nice pullback and something that we've been waiting for. So when Moody's came out in November and talked about this, November 2023, we were up that week. So it's interesting when they first started talking about this, we were up that week. So we'll see what happens. I do not think it's a good thing. You got to remember also when that came out in November 2023, we were in a different spot in the chart. We were basically trending in a bull flag from July, and there was a large level of consolidation. We were working off all the CPI bad, and this is terrible inflation. Inflation was becoming under control. I think things overall were going to the upside. We haven't made new highs in a while. It was definitely a different tone of the market. Now that we're up here, I mean, we just ran a ton. Obviously, the tariff stuff, but it just feels different because we've just ran a ton. That this is definitely the spark that can ignite a trend change and make us pull back a little bit. Also, the China thing was a 90-day pause. It wasn't necessarily a deal. So as that gets into, 30 days, 45 days, if there's nothing being worked out, the stock market's forward looking. So basically, I feel like the market's gonna start selling off that if you get 45, 50 days without a deal, uh, the market's not gonna wait until day 90 to sell off. It's gonna start selling then. So there's a couple things that are out there that I feel like are going to push the market down. Is it going to go all the way down to where we were? Probably not. But yeah, it's interesting. This is definitely something I'm going to be watching. I want to see if we make up the gap on Monday. If we make up the gap on Monday, then we're completely shrugging this off. This is going to be, a whatever event. If we open on Monday and then continue to fall, I believe that's the bigger guys unloading, and I'm going to watch that to see where kind of the dust settles. I'm going to look for this area here, and that's where I'd probably start adding to my positions. Right now, I've sold out the majority of my positions, and I have some Q puts, so those should pay out. And we'll see what Monday brings. Monday, Tuesday is going to be the telltale where we're going. We have back-to-back red days. I would say that the short-term top is in, and it's time to look for positions as we continue to pull down and see what else pops up. But if we shrug this off and we're back up probably within this, I don't need to be as high, but if we're within this candle on Friday, I would say that we shrugged it off, and it's not that big of a deal, even though it's something I'll look out for the rest of the week. And by week's end, I would probably shrug it off. But that's my outlook. If you have something different, comment below, and let me know your thoughts.